Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today I'm not really certain what exactly it is that I want to do. I'm going to bring up some different whiskeys here, and I just want to talk about stuff. If you look at all the other whiskey reviews and stuff out there, you'll see that there's this, the Reddit post. I forget who the first person was, but like, you only need 5 whiskeys. Well, I think that's complete bullshit. You need as many whiskeys as you want, and for as many different scenarios that you can think of, I can think of probably at least 10 different bottles that I would recommend for any one scenario, whether it's a holiday, whether you're trying to impress people, some real special event, a daily drinker. I like the concept. I just don't like limiting yourself because like everybody takes and picks their things, and like if you do a top 5, a top 10, a top whatever list, like those things trend on YouTube really well. The algorithms really like it when you use that now. And I have all these whiskeys over here that I need to review. The problem is, if you can't tell, I do have a cold right now. I can smell stuff, I can taste stuff, but I want to give everything a fair shake, so I don't really want to, do a review right now while I kind of have this head cold thing going. I did put up a light so you can see things that are a bit brighter, but for some reason my video is still a bit grainy, so sorry on that. But yeah, man, I got a bunch of different scotches here. I got some nice bourbons. So some things to look forward to. This one I'll actually talk about in this video, this JTS Brown. But I got a Calumet 16 here locally. I got a Midwinter's Night Dram Act 10. The new Nick Offerman, the 3rd edition release, the Sagamore Rye. Just kind of all sorts of things to be looking forward to. But what I thought I would do for this video, I want to go through and just give some whiskeys, and I'm going to focus this video on bourbons. I'm going to do one more after this on ryes, and then another one on scotches, and then just kind of some arbitrary things. But some whiskeys that I think maybe get overlooked, that I think are really, really good representatives of their categories. This is one of those things that everything's going to be subjective, that it's really based on what your flavor preference is. However, I don't think that everybody's on top of all these whiskeys as much as perhaps they should be. So, with that, let me start bringing out some different bottles here and tell you why I think you should go out and pick up one of these if you have the ability to do so. If you see something that kind of piques your interest, go back into my video archive and check out what I have to say about that particular bottle when I review it, because at this point, my memory of a lot of these whiskeys, I haven't had them for a year or 2 years, so I don't necessarily have all the flavor notes at the forefront of my memory here, and so I'm not going to be able to give like super detailed descriptions of what they are, but some really nice whiskeys that I think you would really enjoy. So with that, here we go. First one's bourbon. Now, as of right this moment, I just picked this up. I went back to Indiana for the holidays here. And so JTS Brown. Now, this is not available everywhere, but if you see a bottle of it, you should definitely pick it up. Now, this is the JTS Brown Bottled in Bond. I do have the JTS Brown. So this is 40%. This is 50%. This is also a liter, and this is a 750. Now, my hunting partner can pick this up in Wisconsin. The 40% for $9 a bottle, something ridiculous like that. Super cheap. And then this Bottled in Bond I picked up in Indiana for, what was it, $13.99 at the Total Wine there. And I have to say that the Bottled in Bond is worth the extra $4 or whatever to pick it up. It really elevates everything that is in the original JTS Brown quite a bit. It has a much more robust flavor profile to it. Like, the notes are just a lot denser. You get that really good corn dust, a really nice, sweet, dense, fruity flavor, a little bit of a floral component to it, and a nice oak component to it. So definitely pick up this Bottled in Bond if you can find it. I think you'd be doing yourself a great favor. And if you can't find this, but you can find the 40, definitely pick up the 40%. It's a great daily drinker at 10, 11, 12, 13 bucks. It's super cheap, super easy, makes a great mixer, but it's a great standalone neat pour. But if you can find it, splurge for the bottled and bond. And like I said, pay attention or stay tuned for my review of that one. Next, I want to talk about something that a lot of people have reviewed. However, I still think doesn't get enough recognition, and that is the Old Forester 1910. Now this, it's just an excellent, excellent whiskey. This new release version, the newer version, I find to be even better than the older stuff, the older label. This is the older label here. As you can see, the newer one, the label's a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. And, you know, like this, the words are overwritten on top of each other. They clean that up a lot. But it's 93 proof. It's just an easy drinker, huge depth of flavor. I'm a really big fan of the Old Forester Brown-Forman product line. It just drinks really, really nice. You know, it's got a slight bump in proof from the floor, you know, from that 80, but man, is it good. There's just nothing bad that you can say about it. If you haven't already, go out and find one of these. You're going to find it somewhere. Like I picked this up for $48 here locally. You're going to find it between 48 and maybe, I wouldn't pay over $60 for it, but worth every penny. Just a super good bourbon. Along with that, like I'm a huge Old Forester fan. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. The Statesman's probably my least favorite. Like the 1920, if you like something with a little bit higher proof, it brings everything that 1910 has up just a slight bit higher in proof. But really, something that doesn't hardly ever get talked about, but like the Old Forester 86 proof or their signature 100, excellent whiskeys that I need to do a blind taste test of, like maybe the Old Forester lineup and then do some other different blinds, which are all things that I plan on doing going forward. I kind of am not going to be buying as much whiskey. I got a huge collection now. You know, I of course have a huge hit list that I still want to pick out. Like maybe, I don't know, there's like 40 bottles I'd like to get or 30 bottles, but I'm really going to limit myself to just those bottles now instead of just grabbing stuff. And so because of that, some of the new content that I'm going to be doing is going to be, you know, blind taste tests, recommendations, things like that. And that's kind of what this video is the kickoff of, is some of that newer content. And so really, this 1910 is just a whiskey that you shouldn't pass up if you haven't already picked one up. And then the Signature 100 or the 86 are just great everyday drinkers for sure. So check out the Old Forester line if you're not already familiar. Now, something that I would probably catch a little bit of grief for, because, you know, not everybody can get their hands on it, but my new favorite bourbon that I will forever have on hand is Colonel E.H. Taylor, their small batch. Now, this is something that I've seen ridiculous prices for, anywhere from, you know, $60 to $140 for just the regular small batch, not their barrel proof, not their rye, not their, I don't even know what other ones they have, but just the regular small batch, you know, 100 proof whiskey, bottled in bond. You know what? I think I picked up for $47. If you can find it between, you know, mid 40s and $60, buy one, worth every penny. Probably my favorite out of the Buffalo Trace lineup that I've had to date. It's just a great, heavy, viscous depth of flavor that you can sit with for a long time. It definitely bats way outside of its league, and I highly recommend it. Now, I know everybody hates the fact that you can't hardly find any of the Buffalo Trace products. Even the standard Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare seem to be a lot harder to find these days. But if you can find one, pick one up. You won't regret it. If you're a fan of the Buffalo Trace distillery, I do have, you know, plenty of Buffalo Trace and you know, Weller 107 and Eagle Rare, and I tend to steer people away from those because they're great bourbons. There's just nothing remarkable about them, and so a lot of people overpay for them. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to find them, and they're just not worth it. If you get your hands on, like, say, just a standard Buffalo Trace for $20, sure, pick it up. It's a great whiskey. I have no faults with it. I think there's many things better than that, and so I don't tend to recommend those things, but that E.H. Taylor is outstanding. Another whiskey that you see sitting on shelves everywhere that just kind of gets overlooked, and you'd think now with the Yellowstone, the you know, TV series and all that stuff, that maybe somehow it's not related, but somehow it'd sneak into it. This Yellowstone Select, I had not had any of that in quite a long time. Gosh, maybe about a month ago, I went out, or I didn't go out. I came down here to my bar, and I was just trying stuff, to see. I got so many different bottles. Like, what do I want to drink tonight? I haven't had this for a long time. Let me see what it's like. And man, what a great bourbon. It has everything you want out of a bourbon. It's cheap. It's 93 proof. I picked this up for, hold on, let me bring up my list here. I'll try and hunt this one down. But, I mean, it's just a sleeper. Nobody would guess that it would bring anything to the table. But man, was I really, really happy with it. I have no faults with it. It was great. I picked it up for, $36.59. So $37. Totally worth it. It's a great sipper at that price. You can't go wrong. So definitely check out Yellowstone if you haven't already. You got your Knob Creeks, you got your Maker's Mark, you got your Jack Daniels, your, trying to think of some other stuff. And, a lot of your Heaven Hill products and other things like that. Like, you got all those mainstays that everybody's pretty familiar with. And I don't think that any of them make a bad product. I really don't. Woodford Reserve, like those are all really, really good whiskeys. But I want to try and point out some of the things that, get a little bit overlooked that I think you should check out. So sure, plenty of other whiskey reviewers have talked about it, but the Woodford Reserve Double Oak, I'm a big fan of that. If I can find it here. Woodford Reserve Double Oak. It's a lot darker. Anything that's kind of finished these days. So the Double Wood Double Oaks, I'm starting to become a fan. My wife is a big fan. We picked this up for $44.69, so $45 for a Woodford Reserve. It's, again, a little bit higher proof, a little bit more depth and richness and flavor, and being that it's double oaked and it's finished, it gives you just a new level of complexity rather than just a standard bourbon profile. Now that's kind of where my preferences are lying, my wife's preferences are lying, is that whatever the whiskey category is, if it's finished, we tend to lean that direction because as much as we like a category, that extra nuance that gets added in from a finishing barrel is just something that I think is worth looking in and exploring. So that's why I really like this Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Same with like Angel's Envy, that's another one that everybody knows about, but I think it's worth picking up. Now, if you're not familiar with this particular bottle, I think you should be. Maybe not the bottle, but the company, New Riff. If you haven't tried a New Riff, I highly recommend it. I've not had a bottle that I have disliked. So we got the single barrel here. This one is I think this is just their regular bottled and bond. They taste like they're finished. They have that level of complexity. They're not. They're just making really good whiskey. And I've had an opportunity to taste several others. And man, I'm waiting to get my hands on one of their ryes. They're not impossible to get. They're just, not so accessible around here. And they're a little bit spendy as well. I picked up the bottled and bond for $34, and I picked up this single barrel for $45. I mean, that's, for what you're getting, that is cheap, super cheap. They're excellent whiskeys. If you haven't tried a New Riff, definitely go out and do that. On top of that, everybody goes and talks about, and I'm trying to give you some more accessible stuff. So, like, I got a bottle of Kentucky Owl in there. It was the confiscated one. It's good whiskey. It's not worth the $100 and something you're going to be paying for it. So, you don't have to spend a lot of money, and that's what I'm really trying to show you, is that there's a lot of stuff that's under $50 that is extremely good. I got a ton of Elijah Craig's. If you like that profile, then definitely check out some of their single barrels and their cask strengths. That's not really what I'm super interested in here. What I want to bring up, I got another one down here. So the Four Roses. So Four Roses, again, good whiskey, not necessarily my top flavor profile, right? So I have a single barrel, I have the select, and I got the small batch, and they're all good. They're just not outstanding to me. And so that's one that I would kind of veer you away as well. Like a lot of people, a lot of whiskey reviewers seem to really overemphasize the single barrel. Now, maybe I just didn't get one of the better single barrels. Totally possible. You can get plenty of honey barrels. Same with, like, if you watch my review, recently did the Henry McKenna 10. I wasn't overwhelmed with it. So apparently I didn't get one of the better barrels, and at 75 bucks, that's a heck of a risk to take. So I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is something that gets overlooked a lot. Well, maybe not overlooked, but is still making a name for itself, still working its way into the vernacular of the everyday person. So, like, if you're into whiskey, you probably are aware of Wyoming whiskey. But if you're somebody who just kind of is, you like your Jack, or you like your mainstay product, and you're not out exploring a lot, you might not be familiar with Wyoming whiskey. Great products if you can find them for reasonable prices. If you can find them between the $40 and $60 range, like this small batch is their mainstay line. This is their main product that they make. It's 88 proof. You should be able to find that between $35 and $45. And it's an excellent bourbon at that price. If you can find one of their private stocks, you might be paying $55, $65 for that. I wouldn't pay much more than that, but I have yet to have one that I have not liked. And then also their double oak or double cask, what do they call it? It has this red label on it. It's called double cask, and it's 100 proof. But if you can find this double cask, again, finished whiskey, it is excellent. And I picked that up. Let me see if I can find them here. Wyoming whiskey, Wyoming, Wyoming, Wyoming. So that was so this was $60. My private selects were $50. My small batch, I don't have, because I got this 375. I don't have a good price on it, but it should be like 35 bucks, something like that. You can't go wrong with them. Now they're Outrider, what do they got? They got single barrels, like at the cheaper liquor store here in town the other day. I almost bought one, but I just didn't want to spend it. It was like 82 bucks for a single barrel, but I bet it's really good. They also have their 10th anniversary release. They also have their national parks releases and stuff. Like, you're going to be paying a fair bit more money for those. I've not tried them, so I don't know, but I can't imagine that they're bad. You know, they're probably pretty good. Are they better than these? I don't know, but I've been extremely happy with these so far. So if you can find a private select one, so that's going to be a store pick. If you can find their double cask, this is one of our favorites, if not our favorite. And just their standard small batch is excellent. And they're probably in a store near you. They have wide distribution. So check them out if you haven't already. Wyoming Whiskey makes excellent whiskey. So I got the 1792s. I will say this about that 1792 collection. Not a fan of, if you're not a fan of the regular small batch 1792, which gets high praise from a lot of people, I'm going to again say that's not my flavor profile. And if you go watch my original small batch, it was like my first or second review on this channel. I did not like it. It smelled like nail polish remover. It was not good. Now, maybe I just wasn't aware of the nuance, or maybe I had a bad bottle or something like that, but I was not a fan of it. So I might have to just go buy another bottle to start with. But since then, I've had the full proof, the bottled and bond, the single barrel, and a couple others. And again, nothing wrong with them. Just not my flavor profile, and not something that I'm going to be chasing. And so I'm not going to steer you towards those. If you want to take a gamble on it, go for it. They're not super expensive, and so you could. But what I am a fan of, and a lot of people are singing the praises of it these days, is Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey, just as a distillery, is making some great stuff. In particular, their rye is extremely good. I don't have a Master's Keep. I have the Rare Breed and the what I thought was the Master's Keep, which the Master's Keep is the expensive one. The Kentucky Spirit Single Barrel. Both of these are pretty darn good. I would probably lean towards the Rare Breed. Rare Breed, it gets a lot of praise, and it should get a lot of praise. But if you haven't checked it out already, definitely take a look. If you're already a Wild Turkey fan, the Rare Breed is extremely good. I'm a big fan of the Long Branch as well. A lot of people kind of crap on that one. I will say the flavor is not as robust as it is in the Rare Breed, and this Rare Breed is a really good deal at the price point. You know, we're talking like 45 bucks. But don't overlook just the regular 81 proof or the 101 proof. Like, those are really good whiskeys as well. And then tied into that, if you're not already aware, the Russells. So Russells is made by Wild Turkey. This Russell's 10-year, another great value in whiskey. Good complex flavor, a good depth of flavor. It's a 10-year-old whiskey for starters. And I think, golly, what did I buy this one for? Yeah, I get all these whiskeys in here, and then I always kind of forget about what I got going on. Russell's $33. So for $33, you get a 10-year-old whiskey. Probably, and it's probably going to be one of those things that starts going up in price because many YouTubers are starting to sing the praises of Russells and there are different varieties of Russells. I think they're all excellent, and I think that the praises should be sung, but what happens when something starts becoming popular, it becomes hard to find, it becomes expensive. So keep an eye on that, especially in the years going forward. There's problems with barreling, there's problem with grains and grain prices and corn and shipping and we're going through hard times in America. So if any of these things sound good, definitely get out there and check them out before they become difficult to find. But Russell's and the Wild Turkey lines are all really excellent whiskeys in my opinion. So this video is 25 minutes already. I'm probably gonna stop. Oh, wait, no. We got a couple of things that I need to put in there first. Here's some cheap stuff that if you find, you should definitely pick up because they're worth it. They're just worth it. Everything that I've been showing's kind of been hanging out in that $30-$40 range for the most part. I'll do another video with some more expensive stuff, but if you find, and you should be able to find, any of these, pick one up because I think they're definitely some of the better whiskeys out there for cheap whiskeys. So this Henry McKenna Sour Mash, it's their floor, 40%. If you want a cheap whiskey that's just a good drinking whiskey, that's why I thought the Henry McKenna 10-year would be so out. For it being super cheap, I don't know, it's blending in right now and I'm not able to pick it out. I want to say that was only like $10, something along those lines. So Heaven Hill product, it was $11.87. Heaven Hill makes good stuff, same as Brown-Forman. Excellent product. This very old Barton. So JTS Brown and Henry McKenna, both Heaven Hill products. This very old Barton 1792, which is also owned by Sazerac, is $17. Again, punching way above their weights, but still cheap. This Ezra 99, excellent. I want to say this might be an MGP product, distilled and aged in Kentucky. So nope, that's not true. It's not MGP at all. Bottled for Luxro Industries in Bardstown. I don't know who's making the Ezra 99, but another cheap bottle. And this is another Sazerac bottle, this old Charter. Check them out. Like, there's a lot of good whiskeys to be had. I know I've said this before, but Ancient Age, the Benchmark series, the old Charter, like those are all great whiskeys that get overlooked that you can find for under $15, sometimes under $10. That, yeah, they're 80 proof, but they're just a good, solid, easy drinking whiskey, and I highly recommend you check them out. So with that, I'm going to wrap up these bourbons here. I'm going to put this video out for you guys to enjoy. And then I'm going to do another one of these on Rise. Maybe I'll look at these scotches and then some other things. But I'm gonna wrap that up here. So go ahead, drop in the comments down below what your favorite bottle is, or if you think I missed something that like everybody should get out and try. The 5 whiskeys you need. Screw that. I just mentioned maybe 20 whiskeys that I highly recommend you go out and check out. Drop that in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out Life and Whiskey on BitChute, forget Minds, I'm not really using that. BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. Comment down below. I've been talking to people back and forth a little bit, so I've been addressing comments as often as I can. And thank you very much. Appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.